Squid Game Season 3 has a lot of funny deaths. Today we'll break down the ones that made us cry from laughter. These first deaths are both shocking and hilarious, and they come courtesy of one particularly chaotic player, player 096. It all starts during the 5th game, the jump rope bridge, when 096 successfully makes it across the bridge. He lands on the end platform and immediately turns around, clearly thrilled with himself. Then, smiling with false kindness, he holds out his hand and says to the next player, "I'll help you." The player, hopeful and trusting, moves forward to take his hand and gets shoved straight into the void. Without any hesitation, player 096 pushes him off the platform to his death. The betrayal is so sudden and unexpected that it's honestly hilarious. Gi-hun, watching all of this, is understandably confused and horrified. He says, "What are you doing?" To which 096 responds smugly, "What do you think? I'm playing the game." From that moment on, it becomes a full comedy of madness. 096 continues pushing people off the bridge one by one. Anyone who tries to finish the game and step onto the final platforms gets thrown off. He starts treating the edge like it's his personal gatekeeping station. Eventually, the line of players trying to beat the bridge comes to a stop. No one can pass because 096 is camping the final platform like it's a video game. And who's the next one trying to pass? Gramps. Gramps immediately realizes what's going on. He doesn't even try to play tough. Instead, he starts pleading with 096 to let him pass, offering half of his winnings. He tries to negotiate and charm his way out, but 096 just stares and refuses. He's having too much fun pushing people. Gi-hun has finally had enough. He walks up and tells 096 very clearly, "If you don't stop, I'll push you off myself." 096 hesitates, maybe sensing that Gi-hun isn't bluffing, and reluctantly steps aside. Gi-hun actually helps a few players pass, but of course 096 can't resist. He tries to attack Gi-hun from behind. What follows is a short fight where Gi-hun quickly gets the upper hand, and with one swift move, Gi-hun pushes 096 on the platform, and the rope swings sending player 096 flying into the void below. A chaotic end for a chaotic player, and easily one of the funniest sequences of the season. While player 096's death definitely made us laugh, this next one was for me even funnier. And I know it sounds bad, but I couldn't help it. I'm talking about Namgyo's death. After the 4th game ended, tensions were high. Minsu had been quietly holding on to the last of the mysterious Thanos pills, which could help them survive the upcoming rounds. When Namgyu discovered Minsu had the pills all along, he immediately began begging for one. He was desperate, almost pathetic, but here's where it got satisfying all throughout Season 2. Namgyu bullied Minsu, constantly insulting him, threatening him, treating him like trash. So now, Minsu finally got his revenge in the most petty yet hilarious way. Instead of giving Namgyu the pill, Minsu pulled out the pill case, a cross-shaped container, and casually tossed it onto the jump rope bridge, far away from the safe platform. Namgyu hesitated, but his desperation got the better of him. He actually stepped onto the bridge and began jumping, all to retrieve that tiny case. When he finally reached it, he opened the cross, and it was empty. That's right, Minsu had tricked him. He had kept the final pill hidden in his hand the whole time. Namgyu just stood there, frozen, realizing he'd been completely played. He didn't try to run or argue, he just gave up, waiting for the rope to swing, and when it did, it launched him into the void. The whole setup, the bait, and the outcome felt like watching someone throw a treat for a dog, only to slam the door shut. Hilarious and oddly satisfying. While Namgyu's death was pure comedy, the shaman lady and her cult-like crew somehow managed to top it. At this point in the game, the group is frantically searching for the exit door. But instead of just searching through the whole maze like everyone else, the shaman lady insists on using her spiritual guidance. She dramatically tells her followers that she doesn't search with her eyes. She listens to the voices of the gods who guide her path. Her followers, completely brainwashed at this point, just nod and trust her blindly. After wandering through the halls and rooms for what seems like a lot of time, they finally stumble upon a door. She stops dead in her tracks and with complete confidence declares that this is the exit door. But she doesn't stop there. She pulls out her circle key, holds it in front of her like it's a sacred artifact, and starts feeling its energy. Then, with the most dramatic voice imaginable, she says, "My key, it's vibrating. This is the exit." She quickly unlocks the door and steps inside, and there's a short, silent pause. Her followers watch eagerly, expecting a heavenly light or triumphant music. but instead, after just a few seconds, she slowly steps back out. No words. She gently and hilariously closes the door with the calmest expression on her face. Then, without warning, she just turns and runs for her life. Her followers are stunned. They start yelling, asking where she's going, but before they get answers, the horror begins. Namgyu and Myunggi suddenly burst through the door and begin attacking. Chaos erupts. Several of the followers are stabbed and killed instantly. Meanwhile, the shaman lady is nowhere to be seen. She's long gone, having sacrificed her own people to save herself. The entire sequence is both shocking and hilarious, especially the way she just closed the door like nothing was wrong and casually sprinted off. Honestly, it's one of the funniest and most memorable death scenes in the entire season. While her first scene was hilarious, the shaman lady's own death somehow managed to be even more ridiculous. After spending what felt like forever wandering the maze alone, since most of her followers had either been brutally killed or ran off after realizing she had no idea what she was doing, she somehow, miraculously, stumbles upon the real exit door. She lights up with hope. This could be her way out? But there's a catch. The door doesn't just need the circle key she's been clutching since the beginning. It also requires the triangle and square keys. Her excitement dies instantly. Still determined to escape, she starts searching again, hoping someone else might have what she needs. That's when she runs into Gramps. Gramps is holding the exact keys she needs, triangle and square. She immediately tells him she's found the exit and that if they work together, they can finally get out. Gramps looks suspicious, but the desperation in her voice convinces him to give it a shot. So they make their way to the exit. When they arrive, Gramps is stunned. The shaman lady was actually telling the truth. This really is the exit. They insert the keys together, the lock turns, the door creaks open, and light spills through. And then Gramps goes full betrayal mode. Without warning, he shoves the shaman lady backwards, sending her stumbling. Before she can react, he yanks one key out of the door and slams it shut, locking her out. She goes absolutely ballistic, screaming, cursing, banging on the door. She's in full meltdown mode. But her problems aren't over yet. She turns around, still fuming, and freezes. Standing there is Min-Soo, still hallucinating from the Thanos pills. In his delusion, he mistakes the shaman lady for Namgyu, the player responsible for his friend Seimi's death. Without hesitation, he launches at her, stabbing her again and again, shouting Seimi's name with tears in his eyes. The shaman lady dies in a confused, painful, and totally chaotic way. But honestly, it was hilarious. Her getting betrayed by Gramps in the most savage way possible, and getting mistaken for Namgyu and killed, her death was wild, messy, and absolutely deserved. While the shaman lady's death was pure chaos, the next ones are just plain dumb, and that's exactly what makes them so funny. I'm talking about the deaths of player 192 and player 442 during the 5th game, the jump rope bridge. So here's what happens. Player 442 is standing at the edge of the bridge gap, but there are a couple of players just standing still on the other side, so he can't jump over the gap. So he's just frozen there thinking about it for way too long. Meanwhile, right behind him, player 192 is losing his patience fast. He starts yelling at 442, telling him to jump or get out of the way, even threatening to push him if he doesn't move. But 442 still doesn't budge. It's a total standoff. Then the dumbest thing happens. 192 actually grabs 442 from behind, like he's finally going to make a move, but instead of pushing him or jumping with him, they both just stand there, literally holding onto each other in place, doing absolutely nothing. And right at that moment, the giant rope swings in and smacks them both off the platform. They go flying through the air like rag dolls and fall to their deaths, just like that. All that yelling, all the threats, and they die in the dumbest, most pointless way possible, just holding each other and getting wiped out by the rope. It was so stupid, it became hilarious. While 192 and 442's death was pure slapstick, player 392's might be the most bizarre of the entire bridge game. And that's exactly what made it hilarious. Unlike most players who either moved forward or froze in fear, 349 did something completely unexpected. She tried to turn around and go back. That alone made it hilarious because no one else ever thought of doing that, and for good reason. After a few jumps, 349 suddenly froze. You could see the panic all over her face. Her legs were shaking, she was gasping for air, and she clearly had zero confidence to keep going. So what does she do? She turns around and tells the player behind her to move back so she can return to the start. That poor guy tries to listen and turns to go back with her too, but the moment he turns, he slips a bit. And when he recovers balance, it's too late. The rope comes swinging and smacks him clean off the bridge. No chance to react. He's out. 349 keeps going back, jumping carefully across the bridge. She finally makes it back to the platform, coughing and breathing heavily, but she's clearly relieved to have survived. That is, until she looks up. Standing in front of her is none other than Player 203, one of the most aggressive and unlikable players in the entire game in my opinion. He looks down at her and, in the most fake, concerned voice ever, asks, "Are you okay?" Before she can even answer, he kicks and pushes her straight off the platform without hesitation. Just one clean kick, and she's gone. It was such a wild, ridiculous moment. She actually tried to go back, something no one else ever did, and it nearly worked. Until 203 caught up with her. As hilarious as 349's death was, we have the one death that so many of us were waiting for. And even though it might not have been the funniest in terms of comedy, I'm not going to lie. I laughed. I cheered. I felt nothing but pure satisfaction when it finally happened. I'm talking about Gramps, the snake in old man's skin, the manipulator, the backstabber, the walking piece of trash. Throughout the entire game, Gramps had been nothing short of a nightmare. He lied, he schemed, he tricked players into trusting him, only to throw them under the bus the second things got tough. He was the kind of guy who smiled in your face while planning to use you as a stepping stone. From the very start, he played dirty, but eventually, the dirt piles up. By the time the final game rolled around, everyone had seen through the act. In the second round of the Squid Game, 4 of the 6 O's had already been eliminated, many by fighting each other. Jung Dae, one of the last remaining players, was isolated and trying to survive. Him, seeing things weren't going in his favor, resorted to his usual tricks: bribery, manipulation, begging. He approached Gi-hun and MG Coin, offering to split his supposed winnings if they spared him. But they weren't falling for it anymore. They had been burned too many times. They knew better. This is when justice finally came knocking. Armed with a metal pole, the same kind of weapon that had ended so many lives in that game, Gi-hun and MG Coin cornered him. Gramps panicked. He begged. He pleaded. He tried to convince them that he could be useful, that he could change, that he didn't deserve to die. But no one was buying it. Not anymore. Without saying much, the pole pushed forward, Gramps stumbled, and then with one final scream, he fell down into the void. Gone at last. That moment? It wasn't just a death, it was the end of a villain. The end of someone who caused so much damage, grief, and betrayal. It was poetic. It was deserved. And even if it wasn't laugh out loud funny, you can't deny it felt amazing to watch. And hey, if you don't hit that subscribe button right now, Gramps is winning Squid Game Season 3 in your dreams. And trust me, nobody wants to see that.